Hey guys, welcome back. Like I said, I was going to do a video on how I'd be if I had a son. So, if I had a son, first thing I'd be overwhelmed. I'd be shocked that there's a little mini Nick running about. He's going to be stocky, he'll be stumpy, he'll be a little bit moody, just like me. Um, but I suppose for me, what I would pass down to him from father to son as he's growing up or getting older, I would teach him things like, I think important thing is how to conduct himself around other men, how to feel confident, and how to stay positive. Um, I would like to think that I'd get him into sports or some sort of active sport. This is where the experiment side would come in. So I would pick out maybe 5 or 6 sports, and I would you know try him out on those sports. And if he liked them, like, great. The ones that he didn't like, I would just get rid of them until it got down to the top 3, and then eventually, hopefully, the top 3 would go from 2 to 1, and then that's the one that I would support and push him on more. And I would get him all the information he needs or requires to become good at that sport, because I think sports are good for a kid at a young age. They keep him grounded, as well as having like a parent, parent that's 2 people in their life. That's very constructive as well. But the things that they're going to learn from doing an active sport and being around a coach is going to be totally different from me. So it's going to be like a second father. So I would look at different certain types of sports that where the coach or the mentor, whoever it is bringing kind of a familiar or similar type of parent figure, role model down to them as well. And I don't know what sports that's going to be. That's a trial and error thing I'm going to have to try out, and then obviously whatever aligns with my son. So yeah, what else am I going to teach him? I'm going to teach him how to dress smart, how to dress, nicely, or whatever, just whatever makes him feel comfortable. But not look like no punk. I don't want him to look like no punk. I don't know what a punk is, but just not like no troublemaker, if that makes sense. I'm going to teach him how he needs to be supportive with family, how he needs to mix with family, how he needs to be nice to his mom. Think the world of his mom, think the world of his dad as well. But also be alpha male, even at a young age. I don't want to take away him being a kid. I don't want to do that, right? But I do want him to. I'm going to introduce it to him slowly, slowly, because I don't want him to just be like a kid all the way till 10. I'm gonna slowly implement little adult versions or adult glimpses of life into him, but only slowly. I want him to enjoy being a kid. I want him to enjoy watching, don't know, cartoons and eating ice cream and whatnot. But at the same time, I want to slowly, slowly, like, just be like, do you know what? There's more things going on. Yeah, I don't want him to be like, come 9 or 10. It hits him that, wow, I've got to grow up a little bit quickly. So if I do these kind of things a little bit early, I think it'll be a good thing. What other things am I looking to do with my son? Father and son talk. When he's naughty or misbehaving, I'll give him a constructive, firm talk. Um, I think that's going to be important. That's going to create a bond, but also, um, what I'm looking forward to doing is the way I conduct myself. So, I need to be consistent with my job, working, or whatever commitments I make at home. I need to commit to them, because I want him to see that that's how he needs to be as well. That, stick by your word, be committed, follow something through. I want him to be a whole person. I don't want him to be somebody that does a job, a half a job, if that makes sense. Um, so as he gets older, I guess, I'm going to teach him how what's appropriate language and what's not appropriate language. I'll talk to him about swear words and whatnot, but I'll talk to him about where it's appropriate to use those words and where it's not appropriate to use those words. Um, you know, yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't want him to be oblivious. I want him to be quite clued up. I don't want him to be just. I don't want to pamper him and, you know, wrap a big ball of cotton wool around him. I want him to be quite strong. What else do I want to do? I don't know. You know, it's a really tough video. This is why I decided to do this. Um, I guess it'd be really tough as well when he comes home and he tells me that, Dad, these kids are picking on me at school. So immediately I'll probably be like, right, we need to get the boxing pads out. I need to learn you how to spar. Probably not the right thing, but I would teach him those things. But I would also tell him that I only want you to use this if you feel that they're hitting you or striking you. I don't want you to go around lashing at people, because there's ways of dealing with things. You can go and tell your teacher, and if your teacher's not listening to you, then you know you've done the right thing by coming and talking to me. I will now take the step forward and I will go in and speak to your teacher, and so on. But if I don't want him to be in a stage where I'm not going to say to him, "Oh, we don't go around hitting people," because I will say that to him, but I will also say to him, "We don't go around hitting people, but you do need to defend yourself if you feel that somebody's going to hurt you." And I'll, you know, if he has to defend himself, if he has to give somebody a little punch, then he may have to do that. But that will be it. I wouldn't expect him to start putting the boot in and picking a chair up and start smacking him. I don't want to condone any of that kind of behaviour. So yeah, I think that will be a very difficult thing when he comes home and he's crying. He's my son. He's gonna be crying and saying these guys are picking on me or these boys are picking on me. You know, so I need to stay calm. You know, and cool and collective and not try to take things into my own hands. So I think it's going to be a lot easier to be a dad to a son than it is to a daughter. I think with boys it's a lot easier. I think with girls it's going to be a bit more difficult. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say really. I haven't really got much experience on being a dad. But yeah, that's all I got to say. So guys, I'll do another video on what I don't know, what it's going to be like to be a father to a daughter, I guess. So stay tuned for that video, and remember, it is what it is.